What up, Winbush here. And if you ever wondered how you can actually control the materials inside the sequencer, say you wanted to control like the opacity or you wanted to change the color, the possibilities are endless, and let me show you how to get it set up. So first, I'm going to show you guys here inside of Unreal Engine 5 how to set it up, and then also on how to do it inside of UEFN because it's a little bit different. But first off, start inside of Unreal Engine 5. If I look down here inside of my content browser, you can see I have a logo already here. So it's just the Unreal Engine logo. It has transparency, and I'm going to get this set up in the sequencer. So the first thing I want to do is down here in my content browser, right click, come over here to material, and I'm just going to type this one or name it UE logo like so. Then I'm going to open up my material, and this is just your basic material setup. So the first thing I want to do is click on this right here so I could come over here to where it says blend mode. And instead of opaque, I want to make it translucent, and that's going to open up the opacity as you can see right here. Now I want to click and drag my material into this. So I'm just going to take my material, my texture right here, it's just a PNG file, click and drag it into my material graph like so. And now if I come down here to my alpha channel, I'm just going to left click and drag it into the opacity. I'm going to make this a plane so we can see it a little bit better. And now you can see we have our logo inside of here with the transparency and everything. And so if we wanted to change the color of this, I'm actually going to right click and just type in constant. I'm going to go to constant vector 3. And then I'm going to select this at the top, make it to my base color. And now we can actually change the color out if we choose to. So let's say we want to do something like this, like here, maybe like a baby blue. Click OK. And so now we have a color going into our node, and we also have our opacity in here as well. Now, let's say we wanted to control the opacity inside of our sequencer so we can have it fade up and fade down. And so in order to do that, I'm going to right click here in my graph, and I'm just going to type in multiply. And as soon as I typed in mult, you can see multiply popped up. So I'm going to left click on this, and then I'm going to take my alpha channel and connect it into the A node like so. And then I'm just going to take this and connect this into the opacity as well. Now, if you wanted to, in the multiply node, if you wanted to come in, maybe type in like 0.5, you can see that we're starting to get a fade in there. But what we want to do is connect a constant to this. So a constant is what's going to be able to be keyframed inside of our sequencer. So if I right click again and I just type in constant, and this time I'm just going to do regular constant. And now you can see that we have our value here. I'm going to connect this into the B slot, and then I'm going to make my value up to 1. And now we can see it. And so in order to make this control opacity inside of our sequencer, it's as easy as just right clicking and then convert to parameter. And now I'm just going to type in logo opacity. So when it shows up inside of our sequencer, we know exactly what it is. But making this a parameter will allow us to make this keyframeable inside of our sequencer. So for this example, we're just going to make it so we could change up the opacity, have it fade up and fade down. So since we have this set up, I'm going to click on the save button, and then I'm just going to close this out. And now down here inside of our content browser, I'm going to right click on that material that I just made. And then I'm going to come up here to the top to where it says create material instance. I'm going to left click on this, and I'm just going to leave its naming convention as is because it's going to do an underscore inst that stands for instance. And that's an easy way to know what's the instance and what's our original material. So if I click and drag this onto this plane here that I have set up, now we have our material on our plane here. And if I double click on the instance, you can see in here, like the parameter that we made, that's the thing that we can control right here. So if I scroll this down, you can see that it's actually fading out. So I'll scroll up and down, and anything that you make a parameter inside your material will be controllable inside the instance here. So I'm just going to put this back at default 1, and then I'm going to uncheck this because we're going to control this inside of our sequencer, in which let me come up here to the very top where we have this clipboard. I'm going to left click, come down to add level sequence. And I'm just going to leave it by the default name. So I'm just going to click save. And now you can see we have our sequencer in here. So if I come over here to plane, and let me actually just name this one UE logo. And then I'm going to left click and drag that into my sequencer. And now over here inside of my sequencer, you can see we have our plane, in which I'm going to click on a plus symbol here. And right here under components, we want to select static mesh component 0. I'm not sure why it's called that, but if you select it, it's going to show up down here underneath whatever your mesh is called, and then it's going to come up with another plus symbol. So if I select this plus symbol, under material parameters, it's going to be element 0, in which if I come over here instead of my details panel, make sure you have this selected, if you look under your materials, that's what your material is called, element 0. So we want to left click on this again, come under material parameters, and we want to select this element 0. And that's going to make this selectable right down here. And one more time, we're going to click on this plus symbol here. And now we have logo opacity, in which that's the parameter that we created inside of our material. So if I left click on this, now you see we have a keyframe in here. And if I come over here and I just scroll this down, now you can see that we have our numerical value here as well. So let's say we wanted this to fade out over 75 frames. I'm just going to select this, type in 0. And now you can see it's faded out. And so if I bring it to the beginning of my sequencer and click play, now you can see that it's actually fading out. And so that's how you can make controllable parameters inside the sequencer. Now to get it set up inside of UEFN, that's Unreal Engine for Fortnite, it's a little bit different because I have it open right now. This is UEFN. If I come up here to help and actually come down here to about Unreal Editor, you might notice that this has been running on Unreal Engine 5.4 for quite a while now. So the material setup is a little bit different inside of Unreal Engine for Fortnite. And so to get everything set up, I have my logo down here inside of the content browser. If I double click on it, you can see it's the same exact thing, the Unreal Engine logo with transparency. I'm just going to exit this out, and then I'm going to right click down here, and I'm going to come under material. I'm going to make a new material, and I'm just going to name this one UE logo like we did the last one. Double click on this. And then if you notice, the material node is a little bit different. And that's because, like I was saying, this is actually based off of Unreal Engine 5.4. So for our base color, you can actually change the color in here. You can see we have all the parameters already set up in here, which is actually really nice, but I still like using a constant vector, in which let's get this set up. So if I come over here, I'm going to left click and drag this into my material graph. This is actually the material texture, the Unreal Engine logo. And I want to come over and click on this right here, my result node right here. And same thing as before, under blend mode, I'm going to select this and come under translucent. And that's just going to open up the opacity for us. And so let me make this into a plane so we can see it. So if I come down here, under my texture, under alpha, left click, under opacity, drag it over. And the same thing, now you can see we have our opacity running inside of our node result here. But if I come over here to base color, we can actually change the color out inside of here. So if I do that, now you can see we have a red logo, and we didn't have to do it with a constant value, but I'm going to show you how we can set that up here in a minute. But first, let me come back over here. I'm going to right click, type in multiply again, and we're just going to set it up the same exact way as before. So connect my alpha channel to the A slot, connect this to the opacity slot, and then this time I'm going to use a shortcut. I'm going to hold the 1 key down on my keyboard, left click, and that's going to bring up the constant value here, in which I could connect this into the B slot. And the same exact thing as before, I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to convert to parameter, and I'm just going to make this one, or rename it, logo opacity, like so, and then make my value up to 1. Same exact setup as before, but this time, let's say we want to control the color here as well. So right here under base color, I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to promote to parameter. And this is something that's going to be inside of Unreal Engine 5.4. But for right now, you can only do it inside of UEFN. And so that's going to bring up a constant node 3 here. And it's already set up for us as a parameter. They already have it named base color. But if you click on it, you can actually name it anything you want. But I'm just going to leave it at default. I'm happy with this setup here. We can control the parameter of the color and the opacity here. So I'm just going to click on save. And then I'm going to close this out. So same thing as before, I'm going to look for my material here. I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to create a material instance, and I'm just going to leave the naming convention as is, as we did before. But then let me add a plane into our scene so we have something to put it onto. So I'm just going to come up to shapes, come down here to plane. We could come over here to our details panel, maybe make it a little bit larger, and let's put our material instance right onto this plane. So if I put it on there, now you can see we have our Unreal Engine logo on here. And now let's add this to a sequencer. Now a sequencer inside of UEFN is a little bit different than how it is in Unreal Engine 5. As you notice, you don't have a clipboard up here at the top. And so what you have to do is down here, inside of our content browser, you're going to right click. Then you're going to come over here to cinematics, and we're just going to add a level sequence. So with that added into our scene here, I'm just going to double click on this. And then I'm going to take my plane from my outliner, left click, bring it into my sequencer, in the same exact thing as before. I'm going to click on this plus symbol here, come down here, the static mesh component, left click on this, click on this plus symbol again. And right here under material parameters, this time it's called slot Lambert 1. I'm not exactly sure why it's named like that, but you want to select this one here under your material parameters, left click there, and then click on the plus symbol here. And that's going to bring up our parameters that we set up inside of our material. So if I click on base color, we can actually have a keyframe out for the base color. So right now you see it's at 000. Let's say we want to over maybe like 75 frames, have it go up, and we could just change the color here like so. So you might want to know what your RGB values are of the color that you're trying to get, but you can actually have it scroll through and have it do a color change like that. So if I click on play, now you can see it's playing through and actually changing the color. And same thing as before, if we wanted to maybe fade out after it changes its color, come right over here under material slot Lambert. And this time we're going to do logo opacity. So I'm going to move my start frame under here. And let's say we want it to fade out over 120. And then let's come over here and make this 0 for the opacity. Now, if we come to the beginning and click play, you can see we changed the green and then we have it fade out. Now, this is an example of how I'm actually using it inside of Fortnite. So I have two materials stacked on each other, and I'll just have the scale and the opacity fading out, and then it's going to go into the intro cinematic here inside of UEFN. Now, this is only the tip of the iceberg. As you can see, this could be really powerful when you want to control all these different parameters inside your sequencer. So hopefully this helps get you started off. And if it did, make sure you leave me a comment down below. Leave me a big what up if you made it here to the end. And until next time, stay fresh, keep creating, and I'll catch you in the next video. I'll see you soon. Take care.